It's almost Valentine's Day, and the perfect gift for the man in your life? Come on, you know we're going to say the perfect jean. From skinny to athletic fit jeans, v-neck shirts, hoodies, even jean shorts, since February in Miami is a chilly 80 degrees. Maybe your man prefers options for his Valentine's gift. The perfect jeans got you covered with gift cards from $50 to $250. Who says you can't buy love? Kidding! And as always, using promo code Pero20 at theperfectjean.nyc gets you 20% off your first order, excluding gift card orders. That's right, Pero20 gets you 20% off all their items. So this Valentine's Day, tell the man you love to his khakis and get his gift from the perfect jean. And don't forget, use code Pero20 for 20% off your order.
This is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is Season 6 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
So do you want to start? You want me to start?
¿Tú quieres empezar?
Well, I mean, I'm staring at, Jupiña, croquetas, and a guest. So,
Well,
I mean, what else?
How
What else do we
be
need?
good guests if we don't have Jupiña, una caja de pastelito y croqueta,
And he just had café.
and café? Like, what type of guests are
Yes. I don't know, but you know what we should do? We should stop speaking non-English and introduce the show.
we? Yes. Vamos a hacerlo en non-English.
In non-English,
Bienvenidos.
Yes. So, episode 237. Welcome, everybody. Now, this week, we've got with us a special guest. We've got Miami's own Mario Ramil. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's about time.
It's about time. I was
yeah,
telling him
dude,
that before
heck
we
yeah.
started. I was like, this is like 6 years in the making.
Here we are.
We've been trying to figure it out, and then, COVID threw everything to hell.
Of course.
I'm not kidding. When we started season 1 in 2018, like, that's crazy.
Oh, wow.
If that's the math, yes.
We had a short list of, like, especially local influencers and, like, people that we wanted to have, and you were on that list.
Well,
and
bless you guys.
I don't know
dude.
what happened. Like,
Bless you guys.
I'm going to blame COVID, even though it was 2018.
Well, like anything, the first year was like, okay, who's going to be on our show? Like,
Yeah, we had to prove ourselves.
You have to take a leap of faith. But you were on that list. I don't know if you remember. We went to a few of your showcases in Tank.
Oh, yeah, he was telling me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know. Life and
happened.
COVID.
But you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we're here now.
Absolutely.
We're
and
here
by
now.
the way, thank you for having me.
No, of course,
Thank you for
We've been wanting this for a while, so we're listeners. We have, as Ish said, jupiña, croqueta, pastelito, and we had café, so it's a good time.
Yes, it is. It is. We almost went and got Pollo Tropical.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
They're not sponsoring this podcast, so you don't have to plug them.
No, but we're trying to be cognizant of everybody's
thank you.
You know what I love
money stream.
about your Pollo Tropical gig is that like it's such a like different side of you because it's like tossed in like guava barbecue sauce.
Nuevo barbecue ribs are back in Pollo Tropical. Yeah, it's weird. You know what about that, dude? Like, I always got made fun of by how I spoke Spanish, just because I didn't dominate it as well as I.
You were born in Miami.
I was born here, in Hialeah, and I don't know. I always felt like I kind of. It was funny to me that now I am the voice in both English and Spanish for a can you curse in this?
Of course
you can.
For like a major, corporation like that on TV. And
Is that your curse, major corporation?
Yes.
They are evil, so
But
that's
yeah.
a curse.
No,
Yes,
no, they're
corporations.
great people.
Corporations,
They're
okay.
Great corporation, but yeah, I find that funny how it's like I heard myself the other day at the gym, and I heard my fucking Kermit voice on the gym in Spanish, and I was like, oh shit. No one knew, but I was like, man, look, Mom, I made it.
Someone knew.
You think so?
Someone knew.
Have you had anybody be like, "Oh yeah, you sound like Pollo Tropical"? Like, has that happened?
Yeah, people know. What does happen is people think I own fucking Pollo Tropical. So they'll be like, hey, bro, I got tremenda cola the other day. And this is okay, dude. What do you think I'm back there grilling chicken, dude?
You are the creator of the Tropic Chop.
Of
Don't
course.
lie.
And
Don't
then,
lie.
people message me like, yo, you should bring it up north. I'm like, dude, I don't own Pollo Tropical.
That's great.
But,
Because if you did, I was going to talk to you about some menu items that they've gotten rid of that they shouldn't have gotten rid of. But that's a conversation for another day.
I'm recording tomorrow morning, so let me know now. I am.
That'd be great if, like, in the middle of the recording, he's like, before we start, I have a list of demands from
So
the public.
I'm just curious, when you
Yeah.
go in the booth to record, do they like cater it? Like,
Do they what?
do they cater it?
No. No. I don't even get free Pollo Tropical. People think this is a
The voice of Pollo Tropical?
Well, I'm not officially the voice. I've developed a really good relationship with them. The whole team and the engineers over there as well, because it's a collective that Pollo goes through that films the commercials but it's a close partnership,
Right.
and we've made a great friendship among all of us, and so I'm not the official. There's not like under like a specific
right.
contract, but we have a good relationship, so they keep calling.
Well, that's cool. So, we started at the end and now we'll work our way backwards, right?
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, we're talking about Pollo Tropical. You do the voice for the commercials, but I mean, how did all this start? Because I mean, we were just talking a little while ago. You weren't always. I mean, I guess you were always a comedian, whether it's officially or unofficially, right?
Yeah.
But you this wasn't always like your world, right? You worked at the state attorney's office.
I did.
How? What? Like, I'm sitting here looking at you, and I'm like, you worked at the state attorney's office. You got a skull ring on.
Yeah. I
Like-
did. I did. And an award there too. No, the state was obviously one of those things. I mean, you said you were an attorney. I mean, we all have to do things to pay the bills, man. And so that was around the time I was having my daughter.
Okay.
And so I first worked at the city of Hialeah parks. Bounced around a few parks there, and then I like graduated to the state, and I worked for the country, and so when I did the state thing for a while, it was a very it was a very Clark Kent Superman kind of like
Okay.
juxtaposition of life. I worked in a cubicle for a few hours and woke up early and did the dad thing when I got home, and then at night I went and told dick jokes at a fucking bar for 4 drunk
As
people.
one does.
Yeah.
So you were doing this concurrently.
Yeah. I was developing myself as a stand-up and as a comic, and also trying to see. Well, so at the state, I was like, dude, you start questioning yourself a little bit. You're like, dude, is this it? You start looking around. You're like, maybe I'd become a cop, maybe an attorney. I don't know. I was bouncing around.
Don't do it.
And
Don't do it.
Yeah, right. And I would talk to attorneys, and they were like, don't fucking do this. And
The advice he gives everyone.
right. And great walls. But what started happening was my videos started catching traction, and I started at the state attorney right at the start of my comedy. Actually, I specifically remember being in a state car, because I would transport paperwork from the courthouse to CPP was the building that I worked in, and I specifically remember Googling how do you start comedy, like how do you start stand up. And one of the first things that popped up on Google was go to an open mic. And for me, I thought open mics were like slam poetry and like, honestly, I didn't think people went and, so I called, I'll never forget, I called Mike Cintron, I'm still friends with him to this day, at the Fort Lauderdale Improv. And I go, hi, I'm nervous as shit. I'm like, hi, like it was a fucking job interview. Hey, yes, sir, hi. And he goes, yeah, what's up? I go, I would like to, sign up for this, for the comedy. He goes, yeah, what's your name? I go, Mario Ramil. He goes, all right, bring 10 people. I'll give you 5 minutes. Click. So what the fuck just happened? I like pulled over. I'm like, whoa, shit. I'm like sweating. I'm like, what? You bring 10 people, you get 5 minutes on stage. Okay. So when you go out there, you start fucking bringing people in. You call all your family members.
That's when being Latino really helps.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Because you can pull 10 cousins.
Yeah,
very
well,
easily.
I have a small family. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's I couldn't pull the cousins, but yeah. So I would go out there and I would hustle and do the whole they would give you little tickets. And at the Fort Lauderdale Improv, before they did it all up with the guitar and stuff, a lot of people would walk by there. I don't know if you remember where Wet Willie's was.
Yeah.
And so it was out in the open. You would just stand there, dude, and you sell your show. Hey, come see me for 5 minutes. Come see me for 5 minutes. And between that and the stand-up stuff and the sketch stuff, it started picking up. It started picking up. It got some traction, and so that bled into my job at the state. So people would be like, they'll walk by me in a tie and like slacks, and they're like, "Aren't you that fucking doctor guy?" I think I saw you at a show at the Improv, and I'm like, no.
Well, actually,
it's the other Mario.
That's what I told you a second ago. That's when I first saw you, the doctor skit.
Yeah.
I think that's like a lot of people's like
intro.
Origin. Of you.
I think
that doctor skit.
I think so. Yeah.
Because it was so on point.
Thank you.
It was like so true. And we've had a few comedians on the show, and we've talked about that whole like viral moment when things started to go viral. Like we always say, like at least here in Miami, I think one of the first people that went viral were Pear Nuts.
Nuts, yeah.
With fuck me and Diaz.
Johnny and Yamil.
Yeah. And like, once like that started, it was like, it was also timing that things started to go viral. But I remember your video of the doctor. That was how many years ago was that?
You were everywhere, man.
What was that?
How many years ago was that? The video of the doctor?
That was about 6-7 years ago. Yeah, that was right around that time. That was same thing. It was around that state attorney time, and it was like the first. What happened was, so when I decided to kind of take my stuff to online, I did a video with my daughter, and she was real little. She was in diapers. She was like a few months old. But she was so animated and so cute, and I did this dance to you remember that Justin Bieber and Diplo song, Sorry?
Yes. Yeah.
So we did this cute little dance back and forth, me and her, and she was mean mugging, and she was doing all these dances and stuff, and it was a cute little thing. It ended up getting like 1 million views. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit.
Right.
And people sharing it. Bill Burr fucking shared it.
Oh, wow.
It got really big.
Right.
And I was like, dude, this is insane. I didn't relate that could happen.
It just didn't dawn on you.
I was like, no, it was crazy. So whatever. So when I would go do stand up, sometimes the host or whatever would be like, oh, maybe you've seen his video with his daughter. And I would have little assholes like that would be like, "What, are you gonna start exploiting your kid or whatever?"
Yeah, of course.
And that actually kind of made me feel bad. I was like, "No, that wasn't even the intention," you know.
Right.
But and I started thinking about it, and I said, well, I didn't do that for that, and I would love to keep. And I kept doing it. I kept doing like different videos with her. But I'm like, I remember specifically talking to someone, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna be the comic with the kid now."
Oh,
and I swear to God that I don't know, that rubbed me so wrong because that wasn't what I was going out to do,
Right.
That I'm like, dude, I know I could do characters. I know I could do, maybe I'll just do like a sketch and try to top that.
Right.
And so I did, and no one ever brought that video up again.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
So what if you did comedy with your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of, then it's got to bring her up on stage every time.
Right.
It's
People were they were being silly, but at the time, I was young and stuff, and it bothered me.
I have to tell you, like, of all your sketches, I mean, I have my favorites, but the one you had recently of the Cuban dad getting the bill at the restaurant, that one was so good. Because you had the mannerisms, like, on point. On point, that I was like, man, like, that one was like a grand slam. I like shared that with everybody that I knew. I was like, mira esto, like, mira este tipo aquí.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
But it's just funny, like, like things like that. Like he was just saying, it's so on point. Have you always been someone who's been that like observant, like of bot? Because your comedy is funny because it's funny, but also because it's so true, quote unquote, right? Like there's a reality there for us specifically, right? Cubans, Latinos. Have you always been able to like get in there and notice people like, oh, this is the body language. They move like
I think
this.
so.
Is that,
I think so. Yeah.
Or have you found that as you've continued to do more sketches and characters?
No, I think the other way around. I think I've always been very observant of how people move and talk and how they use their hands. And I remember early on, I would mimic like TV shows and characters I liked, and I would like reenact them, and I don't know. Yeah, I was always interested in that. Body language, and so I think that adds another layer to the comedy.
Yeah.
You know, because it does. I've never tried to parody a character.
Mhm.
You know, like I think the Doctor hit because it really felt like a doctor. You know,
right.
or like things I've done, and it, you know, I hate to like kind of sound braggadocious about it, but things I've done, I've really kind of, I've taken time to develop the character. You know,
Right.
and it sounds pretentious, but yeah, like what would this character? How would this character really act in this situation?
It may sound pretentious to you, but I think there's just a reality to it.
Yeah.
Because if everybody loves a broad character, right? Like
Right.
it's funny and it's great, but to do it continually,
But you add stuff that like
right.
that when you see it, it's obvious. But then at the same time, it's like, how did you come up with that? Like the Doctor, like that nasally thing he does, like that's not something I would have thought
That's
about.
observation,
You know,
Raj.
like
Right,
I would have
right.
thought about a guaneo in the hands, but not the.
Well, I think that's what gives it the longevity of these characters.
Exactly.
Right? Like I've had people come up to me and do the mannerisms more than they do the dialogue. You know, scratch the ear. Okay. that is what makes, aside from even just comedy sketches, that's what makes just good characters.
Right.
Even in movies, like Daniel Day-Lewis when he fell in the fucking oil rig, you know, as he aged
Mhm.
later in the movie, he has a limp.
Mhm.
It's little things that make the character that much more real and that much more enjoyable to watch, you know? And I apply that, I try to apply that to the characters I do.
Oye, pero you're killing it, porque we see all your videos and like you're selling out like the improv. Like there's this video that you have that you're coming out on stage and like the camera's behind you. I'm like, mira, este total rock star. Like at the improv. I'm like,
Is that you? Yeah.
Like look at him. It's like a documentary, Mario Ramil, but that's awesome. It's always good to see, people that, from your community, people that are just like you, like being so successful and killing it. So, congrats,
Thank you
for
very much.
giving us all a voice and a funny voice, because there's nothing more annoying than people, and that's a big thing of when they say cultural appropriation, that it is a real thing. There's nothing worse than somebody who doesn't know your culture trying to emulate your culture, and saying things like fiesta and caliente, and it's like, oh,
even people, and I'll, controversial moment, even people within our community that attempt that makes me, it's just uncomfortable to watch. Croquetas, pastelitos, like that they like, they try to make it funny. But it's like it doesn't feel real for me.
Right.
For me, I watch it, I'm like, this is the same thing. This is it almost feels like they're a whole different ethnicity or culture or whatever, trying to mimic it, try to parody it. I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, when we had Jamil on, he said, it's that chancleta croqueta comedy.
I call it pinga boyo comedy.
Well,
I do. It's like if I could say pinga boyo
welcome to Pero Let Me Tell You After Dark.
There you go. This is what I'm telling you. There's the Patreon episode. If you say pinga boyo in a sketch, and I hate those two words, I've never used them in real life, but there's some comics, quote unquote, influence, whatever the fuck they are,
right, that
I just feel, and you see them, and it's like, that didn't need a pinga boyo, but that's almost like the equivalent, right? Like saying fuck on stage or whatever, or be a puss, whatever it is. But yeah, and I see that often in this Miami Cuban thing sometimes, and I don't know, it just makes me feel weird.
It's like there's so much material, it's like you don't have to.
Well, I think that's why, again, and I hate to sound like this, but I think that's why my characters, I don't consider them in the same thing, because I don't think I've ever said pinga boyo in any of my sketches.
But you've said it 4 times on this show now.
Absolutely. Okay. I've been holding back for years now.
You go.
Yeah. Pinga boyo. So
also, that's just going to be the name of this episode.
I think it should.
Yeah.
Right. The pinga boyo. Episode 69. Yeah.
That's awesome. Why not? We've never had that one.
We've never had that one before.
Really?
Well, that doesn't always come up in the podcast.
Sorry.
Yeah, we were saving it for you, actually. We didn't tell you ahead of time because we wanted to be spontaneous.
I always find funny when people come on and they're like, "Can I curse?" I'm like, "Yeah."
I don't know. You always got to ask. You never know.
No, I appreciate the ask. I appreciate the ask.
So.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about some current events and pop culture topics and that. But I do want to ask you, because you do both stand up and sketch comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a preference of which one I don't want to say that you like doing more, or like where do you feel more at home? Doing the characters and the sketches, or on the stage? Because I can't imagine, like, when people say things like, oh yeah, it's a 5-minute set, it's like, oh, type 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are like the longest 5 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to do an open mic,
Yeah.
and that's the reason I don't. Because I'm like, the thought of doing 5 minutes of a monologue trying to get people to laugh, if they don't, it's going to feel like an hour.
Yeah. It's a long 5 minutes. So for the first part of your question, there are two, and I have this conversation often with other comics and people that do sketches and stuff. I think it's two different muscles for me and for a lot of us. Like, sometimes I'm in the mood to do a sketch, and sometimes that's the best way at the moment that I could express that joke that I want to do or say.
Okay.
But then other times there's a premise that I feel like on stage this shit would kill. So I feel comfortable in both. Stage is still one of those things where I always feel like throwing up before I get on.
That's not a bad thing.
Because
that means that you're not jaded to it. That's how I
wish.
I mean, it worked for Eminem.
I wish that I would be more jaded and less nervous, to be honest with you. But there's something about the stage. Like, online, you do the skit, you put it out, you don't hear the applause, you don't get the instant feedback. You get some likes and people comment, but it's not instant. It's not an instant, like, here's the joke. What part did you laugh at? Like, what part worked?
Right. On
stage, there's no faking that. On stage, if your joke doesn't work, instantly you'll see it on people's faces. You won't hear a laugh. It's that's what I'm saying. Like I love, enjoy both separately in their own thing.
Okay. It sounds almost like if you decide which one is going to be better in service of the joke or the laugh.
Yeah, and I kind of work it that way, right? So I'll have things where I'm like, and you know what's actually happened to me? It's kind of crossed over where sometimes I'll say something on stage and I'm like, this didn't happen. I didn't say this the way. This could have gotten a bigger laugh if I would have set it up better. But I was setting it up on stage like if it were to be a sketch. Like if it were to be...
Okay.
If I was doing a sketch. So there's a lot of things... Like, it didn't get a laugh. And I'm thinking, like, why the fuck didn't that part get a laugh? Because I really set it up like a sketch. There was more action in it than there was a setup for it.
Okay.
Like actually walking you through what I'm about to do.
Right.
And that's happened to me often where I'm like, oh, okay, because I set that up wrong. Got
it. Okay, no, that makes total sense.
Bueno.
All right.
And we'll get back to your career before we go, because we want to see what you're doing to tell our listeners. Since you are the entertainment guy, we wanted to go into like and talk. Do you watch award shows?
I sometimes I'll watch like the highlights.
Okay, so you're like in the know of what happens.
Sometimes
if it's worth knowing.
Oh, I saw Will Smith slap her ass, things like that. Yeah.
Did you think? I remember watching that. I mean, everybody did, and we were like, "Get skit, right?"
Yeah, I'm like, why is this skit happening? This is not funny.
Yeah. I didn't think it was a skit.
You thought it was real from the moment?
Yeah, because if it was a skit, what the fuck was the purpose of it? It wasn't funny. It wasn't.
Well, that's why I was like, this is not a funny skit. I'm like, but it just seems so weird. If it had been Sean Penn who'd gone up there and slapped him, yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, it was Will Smith.
Yeah, it was weird. It was just a weird time.
Yeah.
I think for everyone, it was like, I was around the time Chappelle got tackled.
And
like, comedy being under attack.
Actually, you know what? That's a good question. You know what? That's actually a really good question, because that's something that we've asked a few other comedians before, because I like to pick their brain on it.
And we're actually going to ask you when we come back for a message from our sponsor.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. New year, new resolutions. Lose weight, improve your finances, try new hobbies. But what about resolving to improve your mental health? I mean, improving those other resolutions will probably go better if you start with your mental well-being, and BetterHelp can guide you on that path. A customized online therapy provider, BetterHelp has options via phone, video, text, or even live sessions with a certified therapist, all on your time. BetterHelp matches you with a therapist in under 48 hours based on your needs, helping you better understand yourself. And as a special offer for Pero Let Me Tell You listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/pero. Again, betterhelp.com/pero. It's already more affordable than in-person therapy, and now you can save on your first month. We should start the new year improving ourselves, and BetterHelp can help you take the first step on that path. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/pero. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. Anyway, so one of the things that, is definitely, anywhere that you go, there's, cancel culture. And I feel that comedians have always been on the forefront of like pushing the envelope and being provocative and all that. And, there's a lot of comedians nowadays that won't do college campuses and, what have you. What's your take on that? Because I feel that comedians have always, you want to talk about your First Amendment? Like comedians have always like written that because of what they can say in the name of comedy. So when you name Chappelle, obviously that came to mind. What's your take on that as a comedian? Like, do you ever feel limited that, maybe I'm being offensive. This is not what I want to do. Maybe I'm pushing it too far, because of how we, the day and age that we're in now.
It's a loaded one.
Yeah.
My thoughts on that are this. I think comedy has always been dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? That's why you go to a fucking comedy club. Lenny Bruce, the cops were waiting for him on the side of the stage, as he finished his stand-up routine, and they would arrest him. Richard Pryor got in trouble several times. I think it's every era has its thing. Mm-hmm. That you can't joke about, that you can't say. There was times where I'm sure Lucille Ball got in trouble for saying some certain
she
things.
She was accused of being a communist.
Yeah. Right. And there's always something, but I think if comedy's the one thing that you can't operate out of fear, you can't operate with fear, because that's what makes you laugh, that it is a little uncomfortable. You can't believe this person just said that thing, and it doesn't always have to be controversial or whatnot, but that's what the comedy club has always been, and that's what, dude, going back to our grandparents, like you would hear these racy jokes and these kind of like off-color things, and it was never in malice. It was never to really, jokes unite people. Stereotypes are funny at times, if you could bond. I've seen people bond over jokes that outside of that probably wouldn't talk to each other.
Yeah.
But they laughed at it. And I think laughing is you could say things and you could tell someone their shirt's ugly in a straight face kind of way, but you could say the same message but as a joke, and the message is clear. It still got to them. It's a fucking weird ass joke. We're doing a baby gap or whatever, but they're laughing now with you. So they're in on the joke with you. And I think that if it's a joke, if it's clearly a joke and it was meant to be a joke, then I don't then it doesn't matter. I believe, as long as it's a joke.
And if it's funny, because we always talk about like times certain jokes have fallen flat that you knew that it's like, shit, this person was inappropriate. I always think of in the 90s, Michael Richards at the Laugh Factory, that he just like went off with the
That wasn't
N-word.
in the 90s, man. That was in like mid 2000s.
Yeah, because it was after Seinfeld.
Oh, that's true. And, you know, it's like, okay, obviously that's not funny. Like the way that he went on a tirade, that's not funny.
Well, see,
that's inappropriate. but you know, I think you know when that line is crossed.
That's exactly right. Like that specific example was a man that got overpowered by a heckler or something, lost it, and didn't go to any joke. He could have gone to a joke if he was pissed off at the black guy. There's a million fucking jokes. Even if it was a Jew, if it was a Christian, if it was whatever, and you still wanted to kind of, which is low shit, because you could attack the guy in a different.
Right.
It doesn't have to go, oh, you're black. Let me attack you being black. Right. But that's a guy that didn't have a joke. He just lost control.
He went on a tirade,
That was not funny. That was stupid. And in fact, it fucking hurt his career. He's never really bounced back. Like it has hurt his career. Yeah. But again, I think you could joke. There's plenty of comics. Chappelle does it. Schultz does it. There's plenty of comics that touch on. They find the line. What's this woman's? Joan Rivers would do it. Don Rickles. Like they find the line. But then again, what's the line? You don't know until someone gets offended.
Right.
Because if you're laughing at all this shit, and then there's one thing that just, and they're like, oh, no, but that's the thing. And then you're like, all right, well, I have to fucking try to see where it's at.
And especially nowadays, you will know immediately. Because they will go online and they will attack you and they will blah, blah. Whereas before the line, you didn't know where the line was, but it took a little bit for that to happen.
Now you said Joan Rivers. Just the other day, I forgot where it was. I was reading that somebody was saying that like Fashion Police, that show she had up until she died, they couldn't do that show now.
Oh, there's a lot of things you can't. Yeah. I mean, you could. Yeah, but this is the argument I've had.
Twitter.
By who?
Well, yeah.
By who?
By the vocal minority.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's fucking insane.
The cesspool that is Twitter.
Yeah, well,
that's insane, dude. That's insane.
We talk about that all the time. It's like, Twitter.
I believe that you get canceled. There's good cancellation, right? I think this started with a pure heart. It really did. There was a lot of weird shit happening, and a lot of people did get called out, and rightfully so, right? Cosby, fucking Weinstein. I mean, this whole Me Too turned into cancel, turned into let's bring. But I think, like with everything, it just evolved into some other thing.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, fuck, you get some shit you said in a notebook when you're 14 gets fucking discovered, and they're like, oh, this guy, you should see him, he hates gay people, look what he wrote in his, thinking he's Eminem. You thought you were Eminem at the time, so you were writing like these slurs. No, you didn't think fucking 20 years ago it was gonna be exposed on Twitter. Now you're split screen with Anderson Cooper trying to fucking explain yourself because of your notebook, on your composition notebook. No, dude.
All of a sudden I'm scared because you keep everything.
I do keep everything,
and I don't know what the hell I've written, and we've known each other for 30 years, so God knows. God knows.
Oh, yeah, but I was asking you about award shows because, like, you know, the Grammys were this past week, and it's funny because when you hear people's comments about like an award show, it's like, did you watch the same award show I saw? And you saw I'm sure you saw the whole thing with I was going to say Benito, my friend Benito.
Yeah, Benito. We go way back.
Benito.
Our days in
the whole Bad Bunny stuff of what is
speaking
it?
In non-English,
and singing in non-English.
Singing in non-English. Yes.
But what's the controversy?
My whole stance with it is that, like, look, here's an artist who is rapping in Spanish, from Puerto Rico. We know he's Spanish. Every time he shows up, I mean, he can barely speak. I can't understand him in Spanish as it is, but he doesn't really speak English or whatever. Why didn't you just put speaking in Spanish, singing in Spanish? Why non-English? And it's not even like, todavía que tú dijera, bueno,
como un revolú. Everybody had opinions on it.
It's somebody who sings in English, and all of a sudden, on the spot, they decided to start rapping in, Swahili.
Right.
Well, I don't know what the hell they're talking right now, so that's non-English, right? Or speaking in foreign language or whatever. But he's opening the show. That means that there was planning. That means that there was somebody. That means that you couldn't find one person at the whole closed captioning who spoke Spanish or at least understood that he's a Spanish speaker. Like, that's where I come from that angle. It's like,
I think if they put speaking Spanish, it wouldn't have been. It would have been like a little bit more.
He's speaking Spanish. It's just
I get it.
It just irked me.
I get it, but
And I also come from the marketing background, so that's
No,
why
no.
I'm like, guys,
I get it, but that's once again like that's such a first world thing. Who gives a fuck? Like this guy just opened the fucking Grammy.
and he killed it.
I see some of that, but a lot of the things that I've been seeing about their performance is that little fucking subtitle thing at the bottom that said non-English. Like that's gonna overshadow the fact that this fucking Puerto Rican dude speaking Spanish, rapping in Spanish, fucking went on the most watched, on the most prestigious award show and opened it speaking Spanish. Like, I get the caption thing, okay, but for that to overshadow the other thing?
You know what? You're right. Because I feel more people are talking about that than the performance, which was actually, I think, like the best performance of the night.
It kicked ass. It was one of the top 2 performances.
What was the other one?
The 50 Years of Hip Hop.
Oh no! Okay, that was amazing. Oh man, that was amazing.
I didn't see that.
It was like 15 minutes of like the most iconic, rappers. It was great. Yeah. It was great.
I gotta see that. I didn't see that.
It was
the only people that were missing was because they didn't get a Ouija board, Tupac and Biggie. Like, I mean, that was all that was missing. Yeah.
Wow. I gotta watch that.
Yeah. It was great. But I will say, to kind of close out on the non-English thing, it's become the thing everybody's talking about. But I think it also speaks to who we are as a culture. Yeah. That we've taken it and we've turned it into a joke. We've turned it into a meme. We've turned it into, a t-shirt or what have you. You know what I mean? Like, I think it also speaks to like our ability to laugh at ourselves.
Well, for some.
Well,
because there's a whole other side of people that are really fucking pissed at that.
I choose not to look at those people, but again, like I said, it does irk me just from bro, really? Not one Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Chilean, I don't know, somebody that day, but
yeah, but also look at this. This guy that doesn't speak Spanish, like, look how far that went. They didn't open with Beyonce. They didn't open
well, she wasn't there.
They were right, but they didn't open with Kendrick Lamar,
a traditional.
They didn't open, they went with Bad Bunny, this Puerto Rican guy that barely speaks English, to open the fucking Grammys. Yeah. Like, how amazing for not only Hispanics, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, but as Americans as well. How accepting is that? Obviously, Puerto Ricans are Americans too, but they're fucking Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that is a big deal,
right?
And somebody in the caption department was fucking asleep and didn't put Spanish on the thing. And
they were late. You know that he is a phenomenon porque everybody knows Bad Bunny. Like, my parents know Bad Bunny. My dad says, canta como está bostezando. Like, But everybody knows him. Like, I can't think of the last time, it's been a while, that you have somebody that just across the board, like globally, has had that impact. Whether you like his music or not, has had that impact. I mean, it's few and far between.
You can't deny his presence in pop culture and music in general. Like, he's the biggest. Like, it wasn't J Balvin that opened it or Maluma or what, and they could have, like they're big names too, but it just felt like Bad Bunny just transcends. Like,
because it's culture.
It's culture.
Yeah.
It's the other thing.
The other guys are very big musically and they have a lot of fan base, but Bad Bunny is like culture. I think that when you reach that point that you affect the culture and you influence the culture, that's like other level shit. That's like Michael Jackson.
He's like Lil Wayne.
Yeah,
right. Like, you see Bad Bunny wear a certain thing or certain sunglasses or whatever. Right. The younger generation starts wearing, like, you'll see it.
Yeah, right.
That little thing he has in his hair.
Oh yeah,
the way he wears his hair, like, you see it. Same thing with Lil Wayne.
Dude, he brought back the bucket hat.
Right. Well, he brought back a bunch of shit.
Like, I mean, I didn't see anybody wear a goddamn bucket hat since Gilligan until he came back. Like,
right. He started wearing the baggy stuff, and yeah, I mean, there's very few artists that have that pull like that, and he's definitely one of them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people who have a global influence, I think it was this week, they announced that there's going to be a new quarter released here in the U.S. as part of the Treasury.
Okay.
With Celia Cruz on it.
Amazing.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Like
Amazing.
I didn't, and apparently, yeah, it's historic women through the, they do a rotation or what have you.
Wild.
That is insane to me. That like of all the historical women who've made an impact in this country,
Celia Cruz, yeah.
like Celia Cruz, and listen, I'm here for it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
need to
of
have some
course.
type of unveiling and the Freedom Tower,
yeah.
catered by
yeah.
Vicky Baker. I don't like let's just do the whole nine, right?
We need to have like a day off from work. Like
We're starting the petition now.
Take a cruise.
We're starting. At the very least, have sugar. That day,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild that they would recognize her like that. That's big, man.
It's just crazy to me that she continues to have that impact, like after death.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're in a position where we're like, okay, yes, she means a lot to us, etc. But we're talking about the U.S. Treasury,
Right.
I mean,
I hadn't thought about it.
That's what I'm saying, man. Look how many wins for everyone. It's because that once again, just like the Grammys opening with Bad Bunny, it's showing how much we've grown as a country.
Mhm.
Not only is she a Cuban woman, but she's a black
right?
Afro-Cuban woman, and she's gonna be on U.S. currency.
Yeah. Of her adopted homeland.
On her adopted, she wasn't even born here. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. But just like the Bad Bunny thing, just a lot of these movements that are happening now that I think just stem from even the Me Too thing. Like I told you, I think it all just stems from we're trying to heal. We did a lot of bad shit as a country. We fucking did.
We did.
We did some insane things as a country.
What are
Until
you
not so
talking
long
about?
ago.
We're pristine. I don't know what you're talking about.
I wish that was true. When we were 8, we were coloring Columbus fucking paint, little coloring
those
things on
Xeroxes.
in 3rd grade, and this whole feast, and you find that he did what?
Yeah, he did.
But we did a lot of crazy things as a country, and I think that, yeah, I think it's cool to see how we've, and not every move is right, but I think we're definitely moving in a good direction, and things like that are wins.
Yeah, it's growth.
Amazing. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, Mario, we got you talking about some deep shit here.
You guys did that. You know what? Let's fucking go all the way. Roe versus Wade. Fucking take them out.
What is your favorite way to get across in a canoe? Roe versus Wade.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Fucking Lewis and Clark, you. Yeah. Is this what this show's about? Is this very fucking politics and all this shit? Go heavy.
No.
We have in the past between us. We like to keep it sort of, because we never know, we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, right? So it's one of those like.
No queremos comprometer la gente,
Right.
meter la,
Yeah, yeah.
meter la pata.
But you two gentlemen look like you're very big Trump supporters. Both of you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Both of you guys.
You know what? I
Yes.
can't even say that jokingly.
Pero why do you think these headsets are red?
There you go.
Why do you-
I knew it.
I can't even say that jokingly. It's funny because when we've talked about him in the past, and obviously we're not a political podcast, but we, in politics
about current
comes up,
events,
we
yeah.
talk.
Yeah, you
I
kinda
always
have
try
to.
to, be like have decorum and be like, I can't. When it comes to him, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, es un hijo de la gran. Well, we said the other words, Buddha. Like,
Once Pinka and Boyle have been said, what else is
Buddha.
left?
This is the NC-17
Yes.
version of Pero Let Me Tell You.
There you go.
No, but back to Celia Cruz.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with her is that I feel that she was somebody that everybody felt like she belonged to us. Like she felt like family. Like
She felt like una tia. Or
Yeah,
like a godmother.
him and I, this is going to sound bad. It's not that we joked about her dying, but like, I would say to her, I would say to him,
Because we're Trump supporters. We joked about people dying.
Can you imagine the day Celia Cruz dies? Like, it's going to be like big. I would say they're going to take her to the La 8 y 27 and like do a big thing
velorio,
there
yeah.
because she was such an icon. But then when she did die, and we actually did go to the wake in the Freedom
Accidentally
Tower
together.
Accidentally, we didn't plan it. We
Really?
just
You were just there?
We did. I actually took public transportation.
We never take the Metro Rail.
Never.
That day, my sister and I took the Metro Rail to go downtown to go to the velorio at the Freedom Tower.
Right.
one stop down, when the doors open, again, there's like more than one car on the metro rail. The doors open, and me encuentro a él with his mother and his grandmother.
You guys
and his
didn't
aunt.
discuss this.
Yeah, because we're like, we gotta go to Celia's wake, like,
And
it's
we
like
just
family.
We wound up going together.
And it was like, I don't know, 100,000 people or something like
I
that.
can imagine, yeah.
But I mean, it's like those people they transcend their career, like what we were talking about. Like it's culture, it's family. You know, it's like you feel you lost somebody that day when she died.
Well, she battled a lot of things. You know, one, she had to break into the music industry. No matter where the fuck you're at, I'm sure that's hard.
Yeah.
She did it in a time where women weren't probably looked at as that equal. And she did it. Then she fucking left the country that she was born in, never going back.
Right.
Came to the U.S. again as a black woman, Cuban woman, not the best relationship with Cuba that the U.S. has.
No.
And then fucking dominated in the U.S. too. I mean, yeah, dude, she was a force. She was a force, so rightfully so. I mean, she overcame so many obstacles as a woman, as a Cuban woman, and I think again that's a beautiful thing what they're doing.
Oh yeah, let me ask you, because this is something I always like to ask, like, you know, people that are local. If you were to define or describe Miami to somebody who's never been here, like up north,
yeah,
how would you describe Miami? You talk about a loaded question.
How would you describe?
Because
Miami?
I don't know. I always struggle.
We'll preface this while you think about it with saying that we fully understand having a love-hate relationship with this city.
Yeah, of course.
We're
We're not in a small city. You know, it's not like we're in fucking Potato, Ohio or whatever.
But we act like it sometimes.
Because it feels like it sometimes, right? Because you can't talk shit to a friend about someone that their cousin didn't fuck.
Right.
You're like, wait, how are the...
You know what I tell people?
Sure, my cousins were sluts.
That are not from
Course.
here. I always tell them in Miami's a big city. I can assure you that if I go to Publix right now or to the mall, I will bump into somebody I went to high school
Yeah.
with. Because most people don't leave or they come back.
That's what I mean. Like, it is a big city, but it feels like a small town.
Yeah.
So you have those two qualities. It's overpopulated. The traffic sucks. People are rude. It has all those qualities that a big city has, but there's culture, there's good food, there is good people, you know. You could go out fucking 7 days out of the week. I mean, you could go out anywhere.
Yeah.
You're hungry, there's something open. You can have coffee, you're horny, there's plenty of places to go. You want to go dancing, there's a million places to go on a Monday night.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, Miami, you know, it has there's something about Miami. I just went to have you ever heard of Spruce Pine? No, because no one has. I made the mistake of going to Spruce Pine, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I was like, what is that? Like, did you get a Christmas tree?
It's
like
population 2.
Okay.
Okay.
It was me and him.
Oh, okay. And when you left,
And
the
that's
population
it.
died.
And that's it.
Right.
And when we left, we bankrupted the city.
Right.
It was in the mountains, and at like the highlight, the thing to do there is to go to Walmart, Supercenter, and then across an authentic Mexican restaurant. The entire town was there.
Where were you again?
Spruce Pine.
Okay, because that sounds an awful lot like Murphy, North Carolina.
Anything that's outside.
Really?
You were in Murphy.
House in Murphy, yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, wow. What are the odds?
Asheville.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, not Asheville. They were in Asheville. I mean, Andrews.
Oh, okay. Andrew's on the way. Yeah.
That deep voice of God that you hear
Is God.
because this is just audio. Is my friend Banks. Yeah, dude. That's when you appreciate. And that fucking 14 hours driving back, and you go through these little fucking horror scenes of towns.
Oh, yes.
It's like, who lives in that? Why is it lit red inside?
Did you go there over Christmas?
We went for New Year's. It was New Year's.
Because I always say that Gatlinburg is the Cuban's Aspen. And
My fiance said it best. It's Miami in the mountains.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. People started making fun of me. Like, oh, Cubans in Tennessee. I guess that's a thing. We flock to Tennessee.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't grow up. I grew up poor as shit. We never tried. I went to Disney when I was like 15. I never went anywhere. And one year, a few years back, I was like, dude, let's go to Georgia. My fiance's cousin lives in Georgia, Loganville, Georgia. So I was like, let's go to Georgia. But while we were there, we were staying there for like a month, for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Same thing. So exactly what you just said. We went to Tennessee, Pigeon Forge
and
and
Gatlinburg.
Dude, I'm standing up on Anakista, little ski lift that takes you up there. And I'm taking it in. I'm looking at all these mountains, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, it was the first time there. And I'm like, wow, this is really something. So far from what I'm used to.
Right.
And as I'm really taking in the sight, I hear, off in the distance, Dale, apúrate, toma la foto, que me entra ansiedad. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
And I look over, and it's me. I'm like, no, dude, not here. I got pissed. I almost pushed him off the fucking mountain. In Gatlinburg. And then when you walk down, you go and you try to have this nice country. You're like, oh, these laid back country. No, it's a bunch of us walking around trying to get pancakes.
What I've always wondered is like, why Gatlinburg? Like, why do we?
Because we're scared of the little things. It's a big city. We're like, la montaña es also, isolated. No. I want something where it's very popular. I wanted to feel like Miami, but not be Miami. Right. And it's the closest thing. Where else are you going to go?
You could drive to it.
You can get the seasons. You
get the seasons. Right. You could drive to it. You could maybe, you make some shekels. You could buy a little cabin and, so we do. I didn't know we did that. Now I'm part of it.
That it was one of those things that like, I would always hear people like, oh, we're going to Gatlinburg for whatever, Christmas or...
It's always end of year.
Yeah, and then I would hear somebody else, and I'm like, when you start putting two and two together, I'm like, when did Gatlinburg become like the Cuban Aspen? Like,
a friend of ours calls it the Cuban Riviera.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
And North Carolina. Like, the Cubans flock now to North Carolina. When they've had it with Miami, they go to North Carolina.
See, North Carolina, you can go.
Well, that's
too many Miamians.
Ahorita abren un presidente supermarket over there.
Oh, that's when it's downhill. Or a fucking fresco y más. Yeah, that's when it's downhill. Yeah, that's why I wanted to go to Spruce Pine. Because I was like, I wanted to feel like we're not around anything.
Right.
I want that. If we're going to go up north, do that. Don't go up north to then... Go to like
tourist trap.
Yeah, touristy.
Because nothing says out of Miami like a Walmart and a Mexican restaurant, and that's it. Like,
well, it was either that or fucking jump off the mountain. Dude. There's nothing. After like 2 or 3 days, you're like, what are we doing here? Why are we here? The cabin's creaking.
I will say it is nice to go for a week and just do nothing.
It is, but my mind. After 2 or 3 days, you're like, what the fuck are we doing here? I'm going to set this forest on fire.
I'm with you. I'm not that person. I'm like, once I get to the cabin, I'm like, okay, it's great. It's beautiful. So what are we doing now?
Yeah.
Well, no. Not just to sit there all day, but like, like a day in the cabin and then you drive to another city. And then the next day you're in the cabin. Like, you break it up.
I don't mind. I mean, look, I really do like hiking. I like going, I think that's what bothered me about this specific place we stayed at. It wasn't, we had to really drive to go to like a nice, on a nice hike.
Okay.
This was like about 40 minutes up a mountain.
Coño.
And the day we left, dude, was thick. We wanted to get out there so bad. We left the day before we had to check out. We're like, let's get the fuck out of this place. And it was heavy fog. Raining.
It's bad.
Yeah, dude. It was bad. And at one point, it didn't have the railing.
Oh.
So you could look, dude, we were high. Like, your ears popped.
Yeah.
And then these fucking lunatic rednecks with missing teeth are fucking driving 80 miles an hour because they're used to the mountain.
Yeah.
And they'll ride up right on your ass.
Yeah. And the Miami boys are kind of like, what the fuck are we doing here?
You know when it's Florida people, because everyone else is driving 80 miles an hour, and then there'll be like a Toyota Tercel going 5 miles an hour up the mountain, and you're like, yeah, that's one of ours.
It's the only time we go the speed limit. Like, it's on the mountain.
Absolutely, dude. No, those aren't no joke, man. Those mountains are no joke, dude.
Hey everyone, this is DJ, and if you listen to the show, you know how much we love Jupiña. The pineapple soda is refreshing and sweet, and Jupiña goes great with everything from a medianoche to a hot dog to even a rum or vodka. Whether diet or regular, Jupiña has been part of our heritage for over 120 years. From watching our abuelos drink Jupiña at every get-together to introducing the next generation to its distinctive taste, Jupiña is practically part of the familia, como un Juprimo maybe. Así, next time that you need a cool, refreshing beverage, grab that distinctive orange can of Jupiña. After all, only Jupiña tiene puro sabor a piña.
Well, Mario, it has come to that time. The end of our episode. Now, we end every episode where, we kind of give somebody an honor on our show. We call it the last Jupiña of the desert.
Wow.
Okay. And we always pick someone or something that is doing something really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And, just giving out good vibes, right? Because everybody could use some refreshment. I look at the Jupiña can right here in front of me.
Love it.
And this week, sir, we're going to give it to you.
Me?
Yes.
Te vamos a dar una Jupiña. Varias Jupiña.
Wow,
una
dude.
Jupiña, nice, crisp, cold. Like, again, and we've had the Jupiña fresh off the line.
Love
so
it.
we know from fresh.
Thank you
and
guys
cold.
so much, man. It's an honor.
Honestly, man, like, you know what? It's we said it at the beginning of the show. And we'll say it again. We love when local people do good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make good and are really putting us out there in a very positive light. I think you are doing it. Some may disagree on some of the caricatures, but they're stupid. We don't like them.
Right.
But you do it all with love. And I think, like you were saying earlier, you don't...
Bro, who the fuck disagrees?
God, we hate those people.
Yeah.
But you don't do it from a place of malice, and you don't always go for the low-hanging fruit, which I think is something that many times isn't given the credit that it should be.
Thank you.
It's
I appreciate that.
not everybody can be funny, and I think we can just take a look on Instagram to find that out. TikTok is littered with people trying to be funny and edgy, and I'm using air quotes, which doesn't translate well for audio.
Here, I'll do the sound.
But and it doesn't always translate.
Yeah.
With you, it does.
Thank you.
And just thank you for that, man. Like, honestly,
You're the real deal.
Thank you guys for having me, man, and congratulations on 6 seasons, man. Congratulations on consistency.
Yeah,
That's a big one.
That's what we tell everybody that has since we're on a 200 and
we're on 237 now.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, wow.
People always ask us like, what's the best advice you have to start a podcast? And I'm just like, just do it. We do 46 episodes a year.
Who's been your shittiest guest?
I have a great story.
We have an answer for that, and we'll tell you off air.
Really?
We'll tell you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yes.
Who's been who's been the most?
Well, because I could tell him on it. We could say it on air.
Shit.
We're just not going to say who it is.
All right. Choose your words carefully. I just don't want future guests to hear this.
This is what sells these podcasts.
No.
baby.
So
Let's go.
we've been very lucky. We've had huge influencers. We've had celebrities. We've had like Emmy winners,
range of everything.
Grammy winners, whatever. The only person, I'm not going to say who it is. The only person that gave us a hard time was somebody that we reached out to who is a local
Oh, I thought
influencer.
you were going somewhere else with your story.
Who is a local influencer, right? Who sent us a contract and wanted an appearance fee of several thousands of dollars and wanted to own our intellectual property.
See, these are the people you have to shout out.
And I was
These are
like,
the people you got to give love to.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we've had like huge, I wouldn't say huge stars, like, but we've had big stars here. We've had influencers with like hundreds of thousands of followers. Y tú quieres que te paguemos $4,000 to be on our show? I was like, I responded to them.
At first, we thought they misunderstood.
Yes.
We thought, they think we want a sponsorship.
Yes.
No. So he replied back and he's like, no.
So we know it's a guy. Perfect. Let's keep going.
It was like narrowed down by 50%.
Yeah.
And Darian was like, no, you misunderstood. It's just, we just want you to come on and, as a guest and talk and chat. And they replied, they're like, no, we understood.
And they wanted to own our IP. I was like,
I'm gonna do something, and you guys, you don't have to say yes or no. You could just, if it's that, you could just laugh.
Oh Lord.
Perfect.
I have no comment.
We will not confirm or deny. We will not confirm or deny.
Done. I knew before you started. Amazing. But those people deserve love, man, because they're going through things.
Mario Ramil, podcaster, comedian, sketch comedy artist, and psychic.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Good thing there wasn't video there. Anyway, so Mario, tell us, what do you have coming up? Tell whoever's under a rock that doesn't know where you're at,
Oh,
but
no,
tell
stop
you know, drop your Instagram, your all that.
Your
So
pants.
go.
Okay, so, dude, right now there's a lot of different projects in the works, man. Some that I've been wanting to do for a long time that I decided, you know what, now or never.
Absolutely.
I'm dabbling in music. I've always loved music. I've been producing since I was a little kid, and I have some projects with some artists that you know, they're on pretty popular labels, and they have a good catalog, and
Nice.
and they've been cool enough to let me come in and produce for them. And
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah,
Shit.
we're working on some stuff, and I'm excited to drop that. I got some shows that I'm working on as well with some you know, some real cool people I've been wanting to work with for a long time, man, that have kind of actually, I'm kind of in awe that it's even and shout out also to Lenny from Only in Dade that also is part of it. And we've just been kind of, between me and some comic friends, just kind of working on different things, and they've all been pretty cool, and yeah, it's just it's cool, you know. I mean, I'm humbled to even be in a room to pitch anything to people like that, and yeah, so we're working on that. I'm also working closely with my boy Gabe. We're working on a movie together, and it's cool. Shout out to Kokuyo Productions. We just did
That's
a
a
short
great name.
Kokuyo Productions.
That is freaking amazing.
We just did a short film that got accepted to the Miami Film Festival.
Oh, nice.
That's
Congrats.
premiering
In March.
March.
Yeah,
March,
in March.
yeah. And then from that, we started working on a script together.
What's the short film?
The short film's called Love and Hunger.
Okay, cool.
And it's long story short, it's a couple that sets out from Cuba to Miami, and they get lost, and they end up on an island. And I play the younger version of the older guy, retelling the story.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it's real cool. He did a great job on it, and that premieres in March at the
Film festival.
Film festival. And then from that, we started working on a script together on a feature. So and that we're putting together
On this show, we celebrate
Yeah.
success because nobody handed this shit to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
I know, even us, we have a hard time when people are like, oh my God, you've got so many episodes and this is so great. We have a hard time accepting that.
Yeah.
And it feels kind of icky to be like,
Yeah.
we've got followers and listeners. But you know what? No, we need to start embracing that because we've worked hard for what, nobody gave you anything. You've worked for what you've gotten. And dude, I mean, there's a reason we gave you the last Supinha. Like it's,
Thank you, dude.
We don't give all of our co-hosts the last Hoopinha.
Thank
Yes.
you very much. Well, I
Hoopinha
appreciate
plural.
it. Thank you very
Hoopinhas.
much. I really do appreciate the last opinion.
So anyway, guys, if check out Mario Ramil on Instagram. It's your whole name, right?
On Instagram, Mario_Ramil. Yeah.
Check him on Instagram, on YouTube. Check out those clips. I mean, everybody's seen them by this point, but if you
See him
haven't, check out. And he has, all this stuff coming out. So, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you, guys.
This has been 6 years in the making. I was telling him when I'm like, how did it take 6 seasons to get Mario
Well,
on
you
the
guys
show?
are busy, and
I blame COVID. I blame COVID for everything.
Yeah, COVID
doesn't
is
matter
the
if
root
it
of all
was
evil.
around or not. I blame it.
So anyway,
When do I collect the 4,000? That's what I'm trying to.
So we're gonna give it to you in Hoopinhas.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I can do that.
that's our currency now. The truck is outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Anyway, everybody, we hope you listen, laughed, and learned. And as always, remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your hoopinha. And thank you so much for joining us. It was a blast, Mario. Thank you again.
Likewise.
Have a
thank
great
you.
weekend, everybody.
Cuídense,
Bye.
gente. Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.